What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Monday, July 8th. It was Sunday fun day out there for us today, guys. 5-1 overall. We hit very easily there on the Chicago White Sox, Miami Marlins over. It took us a little bit to get there, but we came away with a win. We did have one loss on the day, guys. We had the Houston, Minnesota over 8.5. There were 16 hits in that game, but only 5 runs scored. So that was a loss, but guys, it was our only loss of the day. We followed that one up with a win on Baltimore -1.5. They won that game 6-3, and we're pretty much in control of that thing the whole way. We had the Brewers +150 in that game against the Dodgers. That was a dominant 9-2 win there, so we'll take that one. Put it on the board. That's a significant underdog cashing for us there. We had another underdog out there in the Toronto Blue Jays +130. They ended up coming from behind to win 5-4 in the 10th inning in that game, so we'll definitely take that. And we finished things off strong there with an over in that Arizona-San Diego Padres game. 10 runs in that game on 16 hits, so we will definitely take that. 5-1 on the day. We'll take that all the way to the bank. Let's keep things going into this next week with a short Monday slate and see if we can find some more wins. Before we get into the games, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Mets come into this game fresh off of a solid Game 3 win there. They won 3-2, so a very, very close, very low scoring game. But the Mets are now 44-44 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Christian Scott, who's 0-2 this year with a 4.32 ERA. His last time out, guys, wasn't necessarily his best effort. I mean, he was at Washington. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs. So not amazing out there. He did give up a home run, and he's given up a home run in 4 out of his last 5 outings. He walked 2 and struck out 2 at the Nationals. That's not exactly amazing stuff. His starts before that, he was looking pretty good there, generally speaking. I mean, he had a good start at home against Arizona, 5 innings, only 2 earned runs. Before that, though, had another pretty good start, guys, against the San Francisco Giants. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 hits and 2 earned runs. So pretty solid stuff. These are starts from back in May, though. He had spent some time in the minors. Now he's back up in the majors. We'll see if he can find some consistency, but things did not get off to a great start back there on the 3rd. And this Mets bullpen, guys, comes into this game. They haven't had the best season overall. They're sitting somewhere around the middle of the pack in the MLB with a 4.02 bullpen ERA. So, not a complete disaster, but, not great. Not an amazing bullpen. Not a bullpen that you can trust to just lock down opponents. But, I mean, they are coming off of a game where they only gave up 2 runs. So, the bullpen didn't look too bad in that one. The offense, guys, has been trending in a positive direction for them over their last, I would say, 20 to 25 games. But lately, it's been a little bit of a power outage, guys. They've scored 3, 5, 2, 0, 5, and 7 runs, respectively, over their last few games. Not incredible stuff. We see Francisco Lindor leading the team with a 250 batting average, so that's fine, but not amazing. Pete Alonso has been finding some power numbers this season, no doubt about that, but we have some questions about this offense in general. I mean, over the course of the year, they've been above average, no doubt about it. They're 11th in the majors in runs scored, 11th in the majors in batting average. They're 8th in the majors in slugging percentage, so this is a team that can score some runs. Just lately, it's been a bit of a struggle. They're taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates in this game, who come into this one losers of 3 out of their last 4, so that's not great. We do see Skeens and Brian Reynolds, going to the All-Star game. We're hearing a lot about everybody's hoping that Skeens is going to start the All-Star game, yada, yada, yada. We don't care about that too much right now. We care about whether or not this team can win games, and at 42-47 this season, it's been a bit of a struggle. They're handing the ball in this one to Mitch Keller, who hasn't had nearly as hard of a time, guys. He's 9-5 this season with a 3.48 ERA. He's coming off a pretty bad start, though. Honestly, 2 questionable starts in a row, not against the best opponents either. I mean, at Cincinnati back on the 25th, he went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 runs. Not his best stuff out there in that one for sure. But after that, guys, back on the 2nd, it was his last start. He went up against the Cardinals and got absolutely shelled. 5 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs. He gave up 2 home runs in that outing. Just not his best stuff. So, yeah, I mean, maybe he's just a guy that has some trouble up against the Cardinals, but right now, it's just not feeling like he's throwing the ball like he was earlier this year. So, we've got some questions right now about Mitch Keller, no doubt about it. We've also had questions pretty much all season long about this Pirates bullpen that's been below average this year, no doubt about it. A 5.42 bullpen ERA is not great, not exactly going to get the job done. So, the bullpen has to get better for this team to win in the long term. We've seen it be a problem recently. We saw it be a problem earlier in the season. overall, bullpen just not looking great. And the offense hasn't been amazing either, guys. They did have that 14-run outburst in game 1 of this series, so that's cool. But since then, they've combined over 2 games to score 4 runs. That's not amazing. And if you throw out that 14-run outing, guys, it's been pretty dark lately. I mean, this is a team that can come alive, but most big league teams can come alive and put up some big numbers randomly. It's really consistency that's important at this level. And consistently, guys, this has been a bottom third of the majors offense. I mean, they're 27th in the majors in slugging percentage, 25th in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 299 clip. Like, just not a team that really fills me with tons of optimism up there at the plate. I mean, obviously Brian Reynolds, absolute monster, but other than that, I'm not really too jazzed up about anyone. And look at the numbers for this game, guys. We see the Mets at -105, the Pirates at -108. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. We see the Mets are 22-19 on the road, so, you know, not a huge trend there. We see the Pirates are 21-24 at home. Not a massive trend there, guys. In terms of a side in this game, I tend to lean slightly towards the Pirates. I mean, since it's pretty much a coin flip game, I do think we can take a look here at Mitch Keller to kind of figure things out. In terms of the over-under for this game, we do see the Mets are 25-13-3 to the over when they're on the road. That's an MLB best road to the over number. And the Pirates are 23-20-2 to the under at home. So that's not a huge trend there. I tend to look a little bit towards the over in this game slightly. I mean, I think the Mets are going to score some runs off of Christian Scott. The Pirates bullpen isn't that great, and we don't really know for sure what we're going to get out of Mitch Keller. So yeah, maybe a slight lean towards the over. In terms of going against the run line in this game, not a super big lean. Don't really trust either one of these teams too much against the run line. I mean, the Mets are 23-18 versus the run line on the road. So if you wanted to take a small look there at the Mets -1.5, it's a very, very, a great price. You can get them at +155 or 160. But in general, guys, I think the value in this game is either the Pirates or the over, but neither one of those are going in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, we're looking at the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Cardinals come into this game fresh off of a solid 8-3 win there in Game 3 of this series. They're leading the series 2-1. They're 47-42 on the year, 5 games back there. The Milwaukee Brewers in the race for the NL Central. The Cardinals are handing the ball in this game to Miles Mikolas. He's 6-7 this year with an ERA of over 5. Not exactly having the season that we dreamed of, but I mean, he's found some success over his last 5 starts. Obviously, he had that horrifying debacle there against the Reds back on the 27th, but his last time out was at Pittsburgh. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, and only 2 earned runs. Very, very solid stuff. Was not his fault. The Cardinals eventually lost that game 5-4, so he did everything he could out there, so maybe we could see another decent start from him, but overall, there have been some consistency issues, don't get me wrong. He's going up against a Washington Nationals team that he has not faced yet this season, so nothing major to look at there, but what are we going to see from Mikolas? It's sometimes kind of hard to tell. And what are we going to get from this Cardinals bullpen? Well, guys, the Cardinals bullpen has really reshaped itself over the course of the season. They're somewhere around top 10 in the majors now with a bullpen ERA of 3.43. Very, very good stuff. No doubt about that. They are certainly looking much better than they did at many other points earlier in the season. So big relief for all the Cardinals fans to see the bullpen finally pulling things together. The question for this team pretty much all season long has been, what are we going to see out of this offense, guys? They're 22nd in the majors in runs scored, but they're up to 16th in batting average, batting 243 as a squad. They're up to 18th in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 309 clip. Like, some positive trends to look at for this offense. They've scored 8, 6, 7, 3, and 4 runs respectively over the last few games. We saw Wilson Contreras hit a home run. That is a great sign. A home run and 3 RBIs there. Good stuff from him. He's coming back, starting to look like himself after that really, really ugly injury there where he broke his forearm getting hit by the bat. Scary stuff, but we've seen Mason Wynn look good. Nolan Gorman's had some moments. Like, just in general, this team is looking much, much better at the plate. They're taking on a Washington Nationals squad who comes into this game fresh off of that loss. They're trailing 2-1 in this series. They're 42-48 this season, and they're handing the ball in this one to Mitchell Parker, who's been pretty decent this year. He's 5-4 with a 3.61 ERA. His last time out, though, not his best stuff, guys. He was pitching at home in that one. He was going against the New York Mets. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 earned runs on 5 hits, including 3 home runs. He's been a little bit prone to the long ball lately. He's given up 3, 1, and 1 home runs respectively over his last 3 games. And facing the Mets, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Colorado Rockies, those aren't exactly the kind of teams you expect to give up a ton of home runs against, but, I mean, everybody has their ups and downs over a long season. We're not exactly going to throw the baby out with the bathwater here in terms of Mitchell Parker's, year, but we do see that the Nationals are 3-2 over his last 5 starts. They managed to come back and win that start against the Mets. So, there's some positives to look at for him overall. How do I expect to see him do against a team like the Cardinals? I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. He has not faced the Cardinals yet this season. And the Washington Nationals bullpen, guys, is sitting, kind of middle of the pack. A 4.09 bullpen ERA is not amazing, but definitely not among the elite bullpens in the MLB. They haven't been terrible this season. We'll give them a little bit of credit, but it's not a bullpen that we can just trust to lock things down if they get handed a lead. And how often are they going to get handed a lead with this offense, guys? It's a little bit questionable. We are seeing CJ Abrams continue his, I guess this is mid-season now, his mid-season surge. He's up to batting .282 with 14 home runs and 46 RBIs, but those are not the kind of numbers where you can carry an entire offense. The Nationals have scored 3. They did it that crazy 14-run game, so give them credit there, but they've scored 3, 14, 6, 1, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games. This team has been below average in offensive production pretty much all year long. I mean, they're 17th in the majors in runs scored, 19th in the majors in batting average, batting .239 as a squad. They're also 19th in the majors in on-base percentage. They're very bottom of the third majors, ranking in slugging percentage. So not a team with a ton of pop up there. So we've got some questions about this offense for sure, no doubt about it. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Cardinals at plus 102. We see the Nationals at minus 112. We've got over-unders out there of 9.5 or 9. We see the Cardinals, not the best road team, but not terrible. They're 23-24 on the road. We see that Washington is only 20-23 at home, so not the best home team. Not a ton of over-under trends to look at for this one. I mean, Washington is a 500 over-under team at home. The Cardinals are a slight under team on the road, so not a ton to go off of in that one. I do think that there's a possibility of under 9.5 being live in this game, but maybe not my favorite spot in terms of a side in this game. I'm tending to lean a bit towards the Nationals minus 112 to bounce back and get a win, but I don't know, guys. What version of Michaelis are we going to see in this game? It is extremely hard to tell at all times. And looking at the run line for this game, we do notice the Cardinals are pretty bad against the run line when playing on the road. They're 21-26 versus the run line on the road, and we see the Washington Nationals are 24-19 versus the run line at home. So if you wanted to take a look at the Nationals plus 1.5, you can get them at minus 190 or minus 172. Not super appealing to me there. I'd rather just go ahead and take the Nationals straight up to win this game. So in general, guys, I'm leaning towards the Nationals in this one, and if you wanted to take a look at under 9.5, that could make some sense as well. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the Detroit Tigers. The Guardians come into this game fresh off of winning their last game of that series against the Giants. They won that series 2-1, so pretty good stuff there. Some very close games, however. The Guardians are 56-32 this season, so cruising right along, having a very, very good year. They're handing the ball in this game to Gavin Williams, who's 0-1 this season with an 11.25 ERA. It's only going to be his second outing, his second start of the year. His first one went pretty freaking bad, guys, and that was against the Chicago White Sox. He went 4 innings, gave up 7 hits, and 5 earned runs. Not the best stuff. Really kind of embarrassing when you're going up against a team like the White Sox to have an outing like that. I mean, this is a young guy. We expect some ups and downs, don't get me wrong, but man, his season debut did not look great, and that isn't a huge problem necessarily for Cleveland. I mean, their bullpen has been pretty much one of the best bullpens in Major League Baseball all season long, so let's say Gavin Williams has to come out of that game and the bullpen has to take over. That shouldn't be a huge deal. The question just is how deep of a hole could he possibly dig for them before he comes into the game. So that's what we're going to have to watch for, but we're not scared. Once this bullpen comes into the game, we can feel very, very good about things. Looking at the Guardians offense, guys, it's been a bit of a mixed bag lately. I mean, they've scored 5, 5, 2, and 8 runs respectively over their last 4 games, but they did have a game against the White Sox where they only scored 2 runs and lost 8-2. Steven Kwan has come back and he's batting .364. That's great to have that guy at the top of your lineup, getting on base and doing all the good things you want somebody like that to do. He's coming off of a 2-for-4 game against San Francisco, so things are definitely looking good for him. But how are things looking for this offense overall? I mean, we see Jose Ramirez out there. He's doing his thing this season. This team is 9th in the majors in runs scored, 12th in the majors in batting average, batting .246 as a team. They're a top 10 slugging percentage team. They're 10th in the majors in on-base percentage. This is an offense that we can pretty much expect it to put up some runs, at least generally speaking, but lately they're just not swinging the hottest bats. So we have some concerns. Do I think they're going to score some runs in this game? Yes. The Tigers are going to try and do something about that, though, guys. They come into this game fresh off of a 3-game sweep there of the Cincinnati Reds. They went on the road in Cincinnati in the Great American Ballpark and looked great. We saw Skubal strike out 13 in their last game. Things looked very, very good for the Tigers, who are only 42-48 this season. They're handing the ball in this one to Keter Montero, who, he hasn't had an amazing time lately. He's 1-2 with a 6.60 ERA. ERA. His first two starts of the year, guys, against the Phillies and the Pirates, he straight up did not have a good time, but he's coming around maybe a little bit. His last time out, back on the third at Minnesota, so a pretty solid hitting team, guys. He went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 6 hits and only 2 earned runs. He did give up a home run in that outing, so that's not great. He's given up at least 1 home run in all 3 of his starts this season, but some positive things from him right now. That last outing, he walked 1, struck out 4, looked a little bit better. So we're ready to give Montero a little bit of credit heading into this game, but maybe not a crazy amount. And how much credit are we willing to give to this Tigers bullpen? Not a ton, guys. They're not great, a little bit below average. A 4.26 bullpen ERA right now is not exactly elite, but it's not, like disaster level. So I'm not terrified of when this bullpen takes over. I am a little bit worried what version of Montero we're going to get for this game, though. So that's a bit of a concern. Also a concern, what are we going to get from the Tigers offense? They've looked good recently. They scored 5 runs in each of their last 3 games, so that's very good for this offense. They're only 21st in the majors in runs scored, though, and 25th in the majors in terms of batting average. Riley Green is leading the way for them offensively this season in general. He's coming off of a kind of mediocre day there against Cincinnati, guys, back on the 6th. He sat the last game out, but he had no hits. He did have an RBI, a sacrifice fly RBI. He had a walk and a strikeout in that one, but in general, guys, this season he's been pretty solid. So are those carry this offense type of numbers? Not necessarily, guys. And this offense in general this season has been well below average, down in the bottom third of the majors, honestly. Like an on-base percentage, a 294 on-base percentage is not very good. 25th in the majors in batting average, 21st in the majors in runs scored. So we definitely have some question marks about this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Guardians at -148, the Tigers at +130. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Looking at the Guardians on the road, they're only 26-21 on the road, so maybe not quite as elite as they are at home. Detroit is only 19-22 at home, though, so not a great home team necessarily. So in general in this game, guys, I think we're leaning slightly towards Cleveland on the road, but it's kind of tough to pick a side in this one, to be honest. And looking at the over-under of 8.5 in this game, we see Cleveland is 24-20-3 to the under on the road. We see Detroit is 21-18-2 to the over when playing at home. So some mixed trends there. I don't have a huge lean on the over-under for this game, to be honest. Maybe lean slightly towards the over, since we don't know what to expect from either one of these starters, really. And the Tigers bullpen isn't the best, so maybe a slight lean towards the over. We're looking at these teams against the run line. We do notice something pretty interesting, guys. The Guardians are 27-20 against the run line when playing on the road. Detroit is only 15-26 against the run line at home. So that's some pretty interesting stuff. You definitely would want to consider the possibility of taking Cleveland -1.5. If you take a -1.5, you can get them at +115, which seems pretty good. I do have some questions about what we're going to get out of Gavin Williams, so maybe not going to be betting that one myself necessarily. So some concerns there. In general in this game, guys, I'm leaning towards the Guardians -148 as a very small lean and possibly over 8.5. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds. The Rockies come into this game fresh off of a 10-1 loss there in Game 3 of their series against the Royals. They won the first 2 games of that series, so very positive stuff from them. They actually had a little 3-game winning streak cooking there for a second, but at only 32-58 on the year, not exactly a ton of great things to report. They're hitting the ball in this game to Dakota Hudson, his last time out. Not the greatest time, and this season he's really had his issues, guys. He's 2-12 this year with a 5.84 ERA, coming off of a 4 2/3 inning start against the Brewers where he gave up 7 hits, 3 earned runs, and a home run in a game we saw his team lose 3-0. So not the best stuff out there. Start before that, he got shelled by the White Sox. Start before that, he got absolutely shelled by the Washington Nationals. Like, Dakota Hudson, not very high on my list of MLB starting pitchers this season. Having a pretty rough time, and no major surprise, guys, so is the Colorado Rockies bullpen. They're the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball, a 5.64 bullpen ERA. Pretty embarrassing stuff. I know half your games are at Coors Field, guys, but you only get so much slack for that. So, yeah, just not a bullpen we can trust. And what do we think about this offense? Well, they've scored 1, 3, 4, and 4 runs, respectively, over their last few games. Not exactly elite type stuff, guys. We see Brendan Rodgers leading the way for them with a 285 batting average. So, that's fine. That's nice. But is that enough to carry an offense? I don't really think so. This team is 20th in the majors in runs scored, 14th in the majors in batting average, batting 244 as a squad. So that's a respectable number. But playing at Coors Field, is it really that respectable? Like, you guys have a big built-in advantage when you're playing at home, and they're not really taking advantage of it, guys. This is not not a very good offensive team. I've got big questions about, how they're going to look in this game. They're obviously due for maybe some sort of offensive outburst, but do they really have the horses to do that? They're taking on the Cincinnati Reds, who, man, they really flopped. They had a 3-game sweep there at Yankee Stadium, and then they couldn't win a single game at home in a 3-game series against the Tigers. They're 42-48 this season. They're second to last there in the NL Central. They're handing the ball in this game to Andrew Abbott, who's 8-6 this year with a 3.28 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start there at the Yankees. He was part of that sweep there. He went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits and only a single earned run. Didn't give up a home run in that game. He did walk 4, which isn't great, and only struck out 2, but overall, really got the job done. We also see the Reds are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, so all very, very positive things. The last time he faced the Rockies, he had a little bit of trouble. It was at Coors Field. He went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits and 3 earned runs, so nothing terrible there, not a disaster, especially at Coors Field. The last time we saw Dakota Hudson face the Reds, it was at home for him. He gave up 4 earned runs on 5 hits and 2 home runs, so not great stuff there. The Reds bullpen comes into this game looking pretty decent, guys. I mean, not terrible at all. They're somewhere around top 10 or top 8, something like that in the majors with a 3.59 bullpen ERA. Very respectable stuff there for a bullpen that, has to pitch half of its games there at the Great American Ballpark, a pretty small park. So good, kudos to them for sure. Well played. And just looking like a pretty solid bullpen right now. The offense, stuttering, spluttering, whatever you want to say, guys. They've scored 1, 3, and 4 runs respectively over their last 3. Just did not look as good there against the Tigers as they looked against the Yankees. I mean, over the course of the season, guys, this has not been an elite offensive team. They've got some interesting and even exciting players like Ellie De La Cruz. That guy on the base paths is absolutely magical, but there's a reason they're 27th in the majors in batting average, batting at .225 for the team. They're 24th in the majors in on base percentage, getting on base at only a 301 clip. Like, just not great stuff. Not an amazing slugging percentage team, despite getting to play half their games at the Great American Ballpark. So, guys, we definitely have some questions about this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Rockies as pretty big underdogs. They're plus 164 for this game. The Reds are big favorites at minus 184. We've got over-under showing out there of 9.5 or 9. The Rockies are only 12-31 on the road. That is pretty weak stuff. We see the Reds are only 20-26 at home, so that's also not great. We looking at the over-under for this game, like 9.5 seems like a pretty big number. Colorado is a slight over team on the road, but we see Cincinnati is 26-17-3 to the under when playing at home. That's pretty crazy stuff. That's a big trend there. Gonna have to take a serious look at under 9.5. In terms of the run line in this game, guys, we see Colorado is 20-23 against the run line playing on the road. We see Cincinnati is 19-27 against the run line at home. That's pretty disappointing, guys. This would have been a decent spot to look at the run line for the Reds in general. And I mean, if you take a minus 1.5, you can get them at plus 115. Despite these negative trends, guys, I do think there's a decent chance we see the Reds win this game by 2 or more. So definitely a chance that we'll see that in there. Also a chance that we just take the Reds minus 184 to win this game. It's a big bounce back spot for them. I think we're going to see them win this game easily. I also think under 9.5 is very live for this game. So something from this game is definitely going in the pinned comment, guys. You'll just have to check and see what it is. We may end up with 2 different things from this game in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we look at the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. We see the Twins come into this game fresh off of a 3-2 walk-off win there over the Houston Astros. They managed to win 2 out of 3 in that series. They're 51-39 on the year, so looking very, very good this season. They're handing the ball in this game to undecided starter, so that's a little bit concerning. Missing some information there for sure. Who are they going to end up putting out there? We don't really know yet, so you guys are going to have to check back and see if this game ends up in the pinned comment in terms of some sort of Twins pick. But in general this season, guys, they've been a pretty good, a pretty reasonable pitching team, maybe above average, not necessarily dominant, but they're 12th in the majors in quality starts. They're 5th in the majors in WHIP. Like, this is a pitching staff that can be pretty respectable. We do have some occasional questions about this bullpen, but they've rounded into form lately. They're definitely in the top half of the majors in bullpen ERA with a 3.61 ERA coming out of the pen. That's not terrible. So we can feel a bit better about this bullpen and just a bit better about the Twins pitching staff in general right now. One of the main strengths and the main reason this team has found so much success this season has been their bats, guys. Over their last few games, I mean, they only scored 3 runs in the last one, don't get me wrong, but they've scored 3, 9, 9, 12, and 12 runs respectively over their last 4 games. That does not sound like a cold hitting team to me right now at all, guys. Carlos Correa is leading the way for this team with a 305 batting average, and yeah, he's looking pretty good. Ryan Jeffers is a monster up there, always a threat to go deep, and he's got 46 RBIs this season. 238 batting average isn't exactly amazing, but still, this is a very good offense, guys. 4th in the majors runs scored, 6th in the majors, batting 255 as a team, 6th in the majors, also getting on base at a 325 clip, and guys, they are 3rd in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, this is an elite offensive team, no doubt about it. They're hoping they can take advantage of the Chicago White Sox in this series. The White Sox come into this game 26 and 66 on the season. They just lost 2 out of 3 to the Marlins, so not exactly having a great time. They're handing the ball in this game to Chris Flexen, who's 2-7 this season with a 5.08 ERA, coming off of a pretty mediocre start there against Cleveland, guys. He gave up 6 runs. Only 3 of them are earned, but still gave up 6 runs over 6 innings on 6 hits at Cleveland. So, not exactly amazing stuff there. His start before that against the Dodgers was a little bit rough. Start before that against Houston was decent, but start before that at Arizona was not very good. So definitely have our questions about this guy. And the last time he faced the Twins, he went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs. In a game, we eventually saw the White Sox lose 10-5. And then the first time he faced them this season also didn't look great. So not a lot of great things lining up here for Chris Flexen, and also not a lot of great things lining up for the White Sox bullpen. ERA of over 4.5, not exactly getting the job done. One of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball for sure. So definitely major questions there, and major questions surrounding their offense that has scored 4, 3, 3, and 4 runs respectively over their last few games. They are dead last in the majors in runs scored. They are second to last in the majors in batting average, batting 222 as a team. They are dead last in slugging percentage and second to last in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 284 clip. Just not a lot of positive things to say about this offense. So, in general, guys, looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Twins at -184 without a confirmed starter. We see the White Sox at +160. We got an over-under in this game of 9. The Twins are 24-21 on the road. So, they're above 500 road team. Definitely something to take into account. The White Sox are 16-29 at home. That is an MLB worst home record. So, another thing to take into account. We see Minnesota is 24-21 against the run line on the road. So that's interesting, but the White Sox are 22-23 against the run line at home. The White Sox are also 26-17-2 to the under when playing at home. So, maybe some reason to take under 9 into account in this game. I do have a little bit of fear here that the Twins will just cover that 9 all by themselves, but in general in this game, guys, we're going to be leaning towards the Twins -184. I think there's a very good chance that they win this game comfortably, which makes me want to take a look at that run line, which is sitting at, if you take the Twins -1.5, you get them at -115. So that's not terrible either. I do think we're going to be on the Twins in this game. I know it's a little bit chalky, but man, what kind of good things do we expect out of Flexen in this game? And also, guys, you got to check back for this game and see who they end up putting out there on the mound. If it ends up being a full bullpen start for the Twins, we'll probably just take them to win the game straight up and not take them -1.5. But like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Texas Rangers going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. The Rangers come into this game fresh off of a 3-game sweep there of the Tampa Bay Rays. So very, very solid stuff from them. They're 42-48 on the year, though, so still plenty of work to do. They're handing the ball in this game to John Gray, who's 3-4 this season with a 3.92 ERA. He's coming off of something of a bounce-back start against the Padres. I mean, he did give up 7 hits and 3 earned runs over 4 innings, which shows you how bleak things were for the start before, guys. He got absolutely obliterated by the Orioles. He went 5 innings, gave up 8 earned runs and 2 home runs in that outing. Honestly, guys, over his last 5 starts has not looked too hot. The Rangers are only 2-3 over those starts. And I mean, he did have a good start there against the Royals. We'll give him credit for that one, but getting destroyed by the Mets, only going 3 innings against the Dodgers in a game his team eventually won by 1 run. Like, none of that really, in my opinion, is, isn't something that he personally accomplished. He hasn't faced the Angels yet this season, so nothing we can really glean from that. But overall, how high are we on somebody like John Gray out there on the mound? Right now, I would say not very. How much do we trust him? Not a lot. We'll see what we get from him in this game. He's had some decent outings, but he's not exactly going up against, like the easiest team to pitch against. So we'll see what actually happens. We'll also see what happens with the Rangers bullpen, who, they've had their issues this year, guys. They're in the bottom half of the league with a 4.43 bullpen ERA. Not too great. We'll see what they can put together in this one going up against the Angels, but right now, definitely not a unit that you can just hand the ball to with the lead and be like, don't worry, we are going to definitely hold on to this lead. Usually gets pretty sketchy. The offense, guys, has been carrying things lately. They've scored 13, 4, and 3 runs respectively over their last 3 games. They looked pretty good there in a 2-game stretch against the Orioles and the San Diego Padres. What do we expect from this offense over the course of the season, though. I mean, they've been about league average, which I guess is not terrible. You're going to need a better, pitching staff than they have to make a league average offense into like a playoff team. But still, guys, I mean, Josh Smith leading the way with a 292 batting average isn't terrible. Corey Seager's had some injury issues this season, but he's still got 16 home runs and is batting 270 on the year. So, some positive things to find for this offense for sure. Are they going to show up in this game against the Angels? Well, we're kind of going to have to wait and see, guys. The Angels come into this game fresh off of a 5-0 shutout at the hands of the Cubs, so that's not great. They won only 1 out of 3 in that series, so obviously not exactly what they were looking for. 37-52 on the year. Things have gotten pretty bleak since, Mike Trout went down. Apparently he's going to be back at the end of this month, but I don't know what he's really rushing back for, guys. The Angels are handing the ball in this game to Davis Daniel, who's 1-1 this season with a 2.70 ERA. Got his year off to a dazzling start there against the Tigers, guys. He went 8 innings, gave up 4 hits and no runs while striking out 8. Then he promptly went on the road and got shelled by the Oakland A's. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 5 runs, 7 hits in that one. He gave up 2 home runs to the Oakland A's, struck out 3 and walked 1. Not his best stuff. Definitely big questions for me about Davis Daniels in this game. Like, what do we expect from him? I don't know, guys. Seems pretty up in the air. Also, we know what to expect from the Angels bullpen, guys, and that is to expect them to be bad. A 4.70 bullpen ERA is nothing good. They did have a shutout there against the Cubs, so congratulations. Awesome. You shut out the Chicago Cubs. We're not going to freak out about that, though. This is going to need to be an offense that carries the team if they're going to win games right now, and currently not having the best time. They've gotten shut out 3 times over their last, 6 games? 5 games? Holy crap. No, 6. 5 games. Yeah, they've gotten shut out 3 times over their last 5 games. That is absolutely crazy stuff. Not a whole lot of killers in this lineup. No shocker there. They're down to 24th in the majors in runs scored, 23rd in the majors in on-base percentage, 20th in the majors in batting average. Like, this is just a terrible team. My God, can we please get Mike Trout onto a team that can actually compete at some point in his career? Very depressing stuff, but not expecting a lot out of this Angels offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Rangers at -142. We see the Angels at +122. We've got over-unders of 9 or 8.5 showing out there. The Rangers, pretty bad road team, 18-27 on the road, but the Angels, pretty bad home team. They're 18-26 at home, so very difficult to decide which way to go in this one. I do think Davis Daniels is probably the better starter right now, but after his last outing, didn't exactly fill me with optimism. Not exactly super high here on John Gray either, so looking at the over-under numbers is intriguing, but Texas is 22-22-1 over-under when on the road. And we see the Angels are 22-21-1 to the under at home. So no trends to really go with there. I do think this is a game we're going to see some offense in. So if you wanted to take over 8.5, I guess you could, but we're a little bit scared of an Angels team that's very, prone to having terrible, terrible offensive nights. In terms of run line stuff, guys, we see the Rangers are 20-25 against the run line at home. The Angels are 24-20 against the run line at home. Neither one of those really very exciting to me, guys. This is a pretty tough game to figure out. I do tend to lean a little bit towards the Angels +122 and a bounce back spot at home, but yeah, not enough to really be betting this game. I also think maybe over 8.5 has some value, but in general, guys, this is a stay away spot for me on what is looking like kind of a tough slate. Last but not least, guys, we look at the Atlanta Braves going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. We see the Braves come into this game fresh off of a 6-0 win there over the Phillies. They won the last 2 games of that series very convincingly, outscoring the Phillies 11-1. Obviously, we know the Phillies are banged up right now, but still, that is a pretty solid showing there. The Braves are 49-39 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Chris Sale, who's 11-3 this year with a 2.71 ERA, coming off of yet another very, very dominant start, giving up only a single earned run over 6 innings of work. He struck out 9 and walked 2 against the Giants in a game we eventually saw Atlanta win 3-1. They've been dominant in his games, generally speaking. They did lose that one 1-0 to the Chicago White Sox. That was absolutely embarrassing stuff there, but overall, guys, they've looked very good. They've won 3 out of his last 4 starts, with that one against the White Sox being in there, but the guy hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any of his last 5 starts. So just very, very great, dominant stuff from Sale. That's what we've come to expect from him this season and just from him over the course of his career. In terms of their bullpen, guys, the Atlanta Braves have been one of the best bullpens in the majors, currently sporting a bullpen ERA of 2.97, so a sub-3 bullpen ERA. That is absolutely dominant stuff. So we can feel very, very good about that. Their bullpen, their entire pitching staff looking very, very solid. The problem for the Braves this season has been their offense. Over the last few games, they've looked better. They've scored 6, 5, and 6 runs respectively over their last 3. Ozuna, obviously not killing the ball like he did at the very beginning of the season, but he's still batting .295 this year with 23 home runs. They are 18th in the majors in runs scored. batting .243 as a team, which isn't amazing. It's a little bit below average. Getting on base at a .307 clip, also a bit below average. They are in the top half of the majors in slugging percentage, but yeah, this just isn't necessarily a team that I'm in love with offensively, but they tend to get the job done a pretty solid amount. And I mean, what can we expect from them here going up against the Diamondbacks? Well, Arizona comes into this game fresh off of a 9-1 win there at San Diego. They won 2 out of 3 in that series. They won 4 out of their last 5 games overall to get back to 500 on the season. So pretty solid stuff from them. I don't know if they exactly have playoff aspirations this year, but weirder things have happened. We'll see what they can put together. They're handing the ball in this game to Gilbert Diaz. He is going to be making the start coming out of the minor leagues for this game. So we'll see what this young guy has out there. It's going to be interesting to see what he can put together. The Diamondbacks pitching staff could use absolutely all the help we could get at this point, though, guys, because things have gotten pretty dark for them, for their starters, for their bullpen. Pretty much everything has been a struggle for them out there on the mound. They're sitting at close to the bottom 5 in the majors with a 4.44 bullpen ERA. That is, that's dirty stuff. That's tough, guys. Not a lot of killers in this bullpen, not a lot of killers in this starting rotation. This team has struggled to find consistency there all year long, and I don't think that's something that's going to be cured by this 23-year-old minor leaguer coming up and making a start here against the Braves. The Diamondbacks come into this game, hitting the ball relatively well. They've scored 9, 7, and 8 runs respectively over their last 3, but they are about to take on one of the best starters in the MLB there in Chris Sale. So, not exactly a guy that I expect to have big hiccups here against the Diamondbacks. The last time he faced them was very, very early in the season, guys. Back on the 7th of April, he went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs in a game that we saw the Braves win 5-2. So, pretty decent stuff there, but much more relevant here, I think, is how well he's been throwing the ball lately. So, definitely big fans of Chris Sale in this one. Not big fans necessarily of the Diamondbacks offense in this particular matchup. Although, they've been a great offense this season overall. Definitely top 10 in the majors, 5th in runs scored, 8th in batting average, 5th in on-base percentage. So, an offense that we can trust to generally put up some runs, but what do we think they're going to do against Chris Sale? Seems like a bit of a big ask. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, so the odds makers agree with us. They've got the Braves at -210, the Diamondbacks at +180. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Atlanta's only 20-22 on the road, so that's a bit of a concern. We see Arizona is 22-21 at home, so they've been playing a bit better at home lately. In terms of over-under numbers, we see Atlanta is a big under team. They're 24-15-3 to the under when playing on the road. We see Arizona is 24-19 to the over at home, so they're a slight over team. Am I interested in the over-under of 8.5? Maybe a little bit. I would tend to lean towards the under in that one, but we'll just have to see what actually goes on. I doubt we'll be on the over-under in this game. In terms of the run line, guys, we see Atlanta is 20-22 against the run line when playing on the road, so that's not ideal. Arizona's only 19-24 against the run line at home, so that's something to take a look at. If you take Atlanta -1.5 in this game, you can get them at -120. Not an amazing price, but not a terrible price. And for an offense that's been swinging the bats a little bit better, and they're about to get to go up against a pretty weak starting pitcher coming out of the minor leagues, I think we have to take a long, hard look at Atlanta -1.5 in this game. So, yeah, guys, that's going to be my main lean in this one. Maybe a slight lean towards the under, but other than that, there's not a ton to find on this game. That's all the games we have today, guys. Hit the like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.